There are no photographs, certainly no video of this epic event. I only have my mental picture of seeing my new piano effectively levitating down the middle of the road. In 1971, my dad was the member of a social network. No, not Facebook or Twitter, obviously. English Electric Stafford, a factory which employed many thousands of men, mainly men. If you had a wall that needed plastering or a driveway that needed tarmacking or anything like that, somebody would know somebody that could help in some way. And it wasn't uncommon for my dad to disappear on a Sunday afternoon. Somebody's moving house, somebody's car won't start, whatever. In 1971, I believe popular music was largely dominated by piano. So we've got Elton John, Gilbert O'Sullivan, Stevie Wonder, Billy Joel, and of course bands like ABBA, Queen. All of these had a very high content of piano. In 1971, I was 5 years old, and I was in my first year of primary school. My teacher, Mrs. Roberts, she played the piano in assembly, and because she could play the piano, we also had a piano in our classroom. But these pianos were kept locked. Pupils did not play them, only teachers played the piano. 15 years earlier, my dad's social network had seen him collaborate with 7 other men to build a street of 8 houses. And in exchange for labour over the course of, evenings and weekends over the course of a couple of years, they managed to save a fairly massive 25% off the overall cost of the houses. Within that street, there had been a sort of first wave of children born, and then there was a bit of a gap, and then I was the oldest of sort of the second wave of children. However, all of the children that were born after me, they were all girls, and I was only so interested in dressing up and making perfume out of flower petals and things like that. So, I kind of wanted a piano. I mean, number 1 in this street had a piano. Number 3 had a piano. I distinctly remember that it had numbers on the keys and obviously somebody's way of remembering a particular song. Number 5 had a piano. It had many broken strings. I did play it a few times, but it was really hit and miss as to which parts of the tune actually were manifest. Number 10, and yes, this is the British house numbering system, odd numbers on one side, even numbers on the other, and it was a curved street, but yes, go with it. 8 houses, they had a number 10. Number 10 had a piano. I played that one many times. The family there played it. It was quite a good piano. Number 2 had a piano. I could see it out the window. Number 4 had a piano. Also fairly good piano. Number 8 did not have a piano. They had an electric organ, and I played it once, and it could produce an amazing array of different sounds, and it was loud. So that left one house, number 6, literally our house in the middle of our street. My parents were not musicians. My older siblings didn't have a particular interest in learning music. So the one house that had no piano was where I was born. So it was time for me to petition my father and get this fixed, basically. So he said, okay, I'll see what we can do. It was the early 1970s though, so the budget for this little project was a grand total of 0. So he asked around to see if anybody was willing to donate a piano to what might turn out to be a good cause. Well, quite quickly somebody said, yes, I can help you out here. This was somebody who lived, 6 or 7 streets away. And I don't think that was particularly remarkable because there had been, in the decades before, the domestic piano manufacturing industry had flourished. I mean, you can see from this sample size of 8 houses that that many houses had a piano. This was an era of valve radios, valve televisions, amplitude modulated radio transmissions, mono vinyl, reel-to-reel tape recorders were just starting to take off, but cassette tapes hadn't arrived yet. So the highest fidelity music that anybody would hear was actually from a real instrument in their own home. But 1971, Ozzy Osbourne was singing Paranoid. Music was changing, rock music was starting to take over, guitar music was taking over. I think another factor as well was that heating systems in houses messed badly with the humidity and temperature, and these fluctuations damaged these old pianos. So they were expensive to maintain. And in fact, even village fetes for entertainment would actually smash up pianos. So it wasn't a big deal that somebody had a spare piano. So Dad's next question was, of course, how are we going to get this thing transported? How are we going to get it home? And well, ideally, somebody in his network would have had a removal company, or perhaps just a van, something anyway. But no, we drew a blank this time. So anyway, a couple of days later, someone said, I can help you out. So the following Sunday, a man turned up with an unbelievably small trolley. Tiny little thing, big chunky wheels on it. So off we went, 700, 800 meters to the house where my piano was. Dad and his friend dropped this thing on the trolley. You couldn't see the trolley underneath the piano, and started to push it home. No, not on the footpath as you might expect. No, this was down the middle of the road with cars and lorries driving at the same time. You couldn't see the trolley. There are no photographs, certainly no video of this epic event. I only have my mental picture of seeing my new piano effectively levitating down the middle of the road. Even more surprising, though, I think, was that nobody said anything. Nobody thought it was usual. Nobody looked, laughed, pointed, stared, nothing at all. Because it was 1971. This was when Tetley Tea had an advert for tea, obviously, but involving a father and son played by chimps who were in the process of moving a piano, which led to the famous line, "Dad, do you know the piano's on my foot?" And also around the same time, I learned actually Bernard Cribbins died only 1 month ago, but Bernard Cribbins anyway created this fantastic song, Right Said Fred, which goes into the details of the troubles of trying to move what they allude to as being a piano, though they never actually say that. But I do think the line, if we take off all the handles and the things, what else, candles, I think they're talking about a piano. So it wasn't actually that unusual to push a piano. There was no protection on it. It was just like a large piece of mahogany furniture. One detail I remember, when it arrived home, there was a 90-degree bend to get through the front door into the living room, and well, we thought we weren't going to get around it basically, but Dad found another route round the back. So there it was, my piano. My street now had a full complement of pianos, or, well, strictly speaking, keyboard instruments. I quickly realised I could figure out tunes on it. I learnt that if you lifted the lid on the top, then it sounded a whole lot better. And if you actually took the panels off the top and the bottom, it sounded much, much better, and you could see all of this mechanism inside it. I also learnt you could take the mechanism out, and I could see that the felts were actually quite worn. This thing had obviously had a lot of use. So I knew it wasn't high tech, but it was certainly the most exciting piece of machinery that I owned. Within my house, my parents, my older siblings, they had no interest in it at all, so it was exclusively mine. And furthermore, nobody else in the household was qualified to criticise my playing. So I had a free rein with this thing. So that's when I learnt to play. That's when I learnt to play all sorts of different songs that I could hear on the radio. I probably played everything in the same key. I probably just kind of filled out the sound in the left hand with a drone of some kind. Yes, I know what you're thinking. What's changed in 50 years, Paul? Well, anyway, that's my little story. I hope you liked it. I'll see you again when I make another video. Bye for now.